Gonna tackle a little project today. Gonna tackle a hand sled. Now, if you were around back years ago, hand sleds would have been very common. Today, they're relegated to being a child's toy, and that's pretty much it, with the exception of some of the folks living up in the far north. But if you were around this neck of the woods, back previous to probably, I would say, about the 1950s, you would have found a lot of hand sleds. You would have found them in use. People using them for everything from walking to the store to bring home the groceries, to hauling the kids around, to moving bags of feed or stuff on their farm, their homestead, hauling in firewood. There was any kind of a reason to have a hand sled. Hand sleds are also common with the woods workers, because if you were traveling to the woods, if you didn't have a horse, to go along for whatever job you were doing, you threw your gear, your lunch gear, maybe a tarp, whatever you were going to be having, your axe, your buck saw, you threw them on a hand sled and you went with it. So when I was growing up, there was still a number of different styles of hand sleds around the home place here. A couple of different types of hand sleds. There was a hand bobsled, and so as I get a little bit of time here, we're going to do a couple little projects here involving sleds, and I'll show you just how they're built. Now, so I've got today it's a piece of hardwood plank. It is 5.5 inches wide. It's 1 5/8 inches thick. And what I'm going to do with it, I'm going to round this end, cut this off here to follow this pencil line to make a nose for the sled. Then I'm going to cut a mortise in here, 3/4 of an inch deep. We're going to cut it down here for this size. What that's going to do, these mortises are going to take the cross pieces for the sled that are going to set across like this. So I want those mortise down flush, setting in, and then we're going to add some cross bracing. We're going to shoe it with a little bit of metal. That's going to be some work from over in the blacksmith shop. So let's get at it. We'll see. Okay, so first step is to remove some of this waste wood here, just to make it a little bit easier to sand it down and get that curve. I'm going to do that on the chop saw. Okay, so now we've got that to this rough shape, but we still got a bunch of bumps on here. So we're going to clamp this in a vise and put the belt sander to work. All right, so there's our curve. Now, as you can see here behind me, I've got the first runner all made. The second one cut here now to match the curve of the first. Looking pretty good there on the front. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these cut these mortises out, the same as what I've got done on this one here. So I'm going to resort to mostly hand tools, but we're going to clean this up with a rotor at the end. So all that I have to do here, I've got my layout lines. Bring you down here a little bit lower so you can see. I've got my layout lines here. I've come in at 3/4 of an inch. That's going to be the depth of my mortise. And I'm back here about 2 5/16, which is the size of these sticks that I have here. It's just the depth of what they're going to set. So since I've drawn just on the outside of those, so I'm going to cut just on the inside of these lines. Just going to use a Japanese draw saw here first. Now I'm coming down just to the 3/4 inch line here, and I'm going back just to touch the line on the back of the mortise. Do the same thing on the other side of the cut. Now, just going to make a few more cuts in, just going down to touch each line. Okay, now with that done, I'm going to go to a chisel. What I'm going to do is just mark in this the bottom of the mortise back here. Just want to get that nice and deep, because that's the shallowest part of the saw cut back there. Now, I'm just going to work out some of the waste in here. Take out the majority of the wood inside the mortise. Now I could continue on and take the rest of the wood out of that with the chisel, but what I'm going to do to make sure I've got a flat bottom hole, the next thing we're going to do here is take a rotor with an up spiral bit, and I'm just going to flatten out the rest of what's in the bottom of that mortise. This one's kind of a big guy that I keep set up just for mortising. I've got 3 rotors in the shop, but this one just does mortise work and nothing but. So I'm going to move you. And this is a plunge rotor, so I'm able to go straight down in the mortise. Okay, so that's the most of the wood taken out. I'm just going to take the chisel, clean this up, and I'm going to do the other pocket the same. Here we go. We've got the shape cut. We've got the crosspiece mortises made here and back on this end. So now we've got the rough shape of what we need done. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drill some pilot holes. Drill some pilot holes in the sides of these runners, where each of these mortises. Just a simple countersink drill. I want the screw heads to set in flush, not be sticking out through, so. Okay. All right. I think I did. But I think they're going to work this time. Through here until they just touch. Now, fit the crosspiece down in, put it against the wall so I can't move. Okay. Seems no matter how many times I clean this bench, every time I go to do work, I get something in the road. Anybody else have that problem? I'm sure that only happens to me. Okay. 2 of those on and in place. if you do happen to make one of these, make sure when you cut your mortises that you do mirror image. Because if you cut your mortise on this side of this runner and on the same side of the next runner, your cross pieces aren't going to go in. They've got to be mirror image, so one fits into the fits the cross piece in one way, and the other one fits the other way. All right. Okay, so here's our basic sled shape. Each runner is 40 inches long, and we are exactly 20 inches across. Thing we're going to do, even though these are hardwood, they will eventually wear. And so what we're going to do is take a strip of flat stock iron, and we're going to shoe the bottom surface of each runner right up around the curve at the top. We're going to come up here, we're going to come back, and we're going to just fold it up around the back end. So what I want to do, I've got these boards planed to 5/8 of an inch thick. The 4.5 wide. It'll make just a good width to put 4 across. So the next step is going to be to drill some pilot holes here, and then we're going to get them screwed down. I want to make sure that I miss where the screws are here that are in the mortises. Now for these, again, I'm using the decking screws. They're the coated outdoor screws. Standard wood screw will rust once it's exposed to the moisture and the elements outdoors. Once it rusts, then it oxidizes and it causes decay in the wood. I don't want that to happen, so we're using the coated outdoor deck screws. That guy's going down the hole. Now I'm setting this board flush because I want to be able to add some stake pockets on the outside, front and back. So if I want to carry some wood on this, I've got a flush surface here we can stand a stake in. That's the reason that it's not, I'm not overhanging. A lot of the hand sleds that you see in the stores, ones that are built just for pleasure purposes, the outside of the deck will overhang, but I don't want that to happen. Because this is work sled, I'm not going to get real crazy about the spacing here. Just going to eyeball it. I have to apologize that I don't have my microphone. I laid it down somewhere, being me. I got a couple more coming in the mail. What's the old saying? If you have one, you have none. That's my case. I had one and now it's... Okay, so there's the basic sled. I had $1 for every load of wood I hauled on one of those when I was a kid. Yes, sir. Spent a lot of time hauling one of those up and down the side hill here. But that should be serviceable as all get out. Like I say, it's all hardwood. Fairly good construction. I'm no professional, but I know what the old timers had. The amazing thing was the old timers built these with pretty much just hand tools. Brace and bit, an axe, hammer, and a handsaw. And whatever they made, that's how they made it. Now there was one old one here at home when I was just a boy. And what they had done with the bottom of these runners, this portion here, they took a yellow birch, they split out a piece about yay wide and probably about that thick. And then they, I'm assuming for the time that it was built, they probably boiled it, put the end of the wood into a bucket and boiled it and to make it flexible. And they had shod the bottom of the runner with this wider piece. And see, the advantage to that would be the wider foot on the runner would make the runner bear up better in loose snow. But as far as you're on a piece of ground. Okay, I'm going to do up the ironwork with this. I'm probably not going to film that part because the lighting isn't great over in the blacksmith shop. I've tried it before doing some videos over there and doesn't really work out that good. So what I'm going to do up the ironwork, then I'm going to come back in this shop, which is well lit, and we're going to put it together, and then we're going to take it out and put it to work. Beautiful day. Okay, so we've been to the blacksmith shop. We made a set of irons to go on the front to hook the rope to for pulling the sled. We made 4 stake pocket anchors that will screw on the sides to hold some stakes. And we made two runners like this. Now, swing the camera around here. I've already got this side. This side here, we've got the runner in place. We've got the irons bolted on the top. And we've got 1 stake pocket in place. We're going to put the other side on here. Let you see what we're doing. So, got these irons shaped to fit the curvature in the front, and they fold up here in the back. So what I'm going to do next is drill a pilot hole for the screws that's going to hold them in place. Just going to center this rail here get one screw in at the rear. And once again, I'm using the deck screws. As you can see on these here, when I drilled them out, I drilled the hole with the 3/16 bit to hold a number 8 deck screw. And then I used, I think it was 11/64 to counterbore so that the head of the screw will set down in the rails and not set proud. One in the back, one up near the front. This will just help the sled last longer, especially if it's running on gravel or rock at the early part of the winter or later on towards spring. If you see this stake pocket here, I mounted this on the inside of the runners. The reason for that is the stakes will set inside if I'm hauling like sticks of wood or anything. I don't want it coming off the front of the sled. So I'm going to do the same thing over on this side. Set a pocket in right there. Easier to do this if I tip it up. Don't have a cameraman with me today, so I keep moving the tripod around here. Okay, just going to eyeball that, get that about straight for where the other one is. I want the front of the stake pocket here to be pretty much flush with the boards on the end of the sled here. Inch-and-a-half screws for this one so that they don't go all the way through. The runners are 1 5/8. With the iron, a 2-inch screw goes just a little bit too far through. Just enough for the point to stick out. I don't want that to happen. Rope iron just sits on the front here. Just something to attach a pole rope to. gets a couple of 2-inch deck screws. Just like that. Now for the back, I see I'm missing a screw right there. For the rear stake pockets, I'm going to mount these on the outsides. The reason being, I put the stake pocket on the inside. The bar here extends past the crossbar a little bit. I could have maybe made those smaller, but it would still interfere with here. So for these ones, they're going to go up on top here. Now, the screws that I have holding these cross pieces in here, one of those is exactly where I want the stake pocket to go on. So I'm going to back that screw out. It's a nice big long one. We're going to put that right through the stake pocket, or yeah, right through the stake. Just one screw here on the back where the sled shoe turns up around the rear. Just to hold that in place. Okay. All right, so there's the completed hand sled. Stake pocket on the back. Shoe irons are turning up around the bottom. Stake pocket on this side. On the front, we've got the attachment irons. We're putting the rope on. This side and this side. Stake pockets on the front are on the inside of the sled. That is the girl right there. Just gonna tip this up here a little bit. Get a look at the bottom. It's going to try and fall over on me here. That is the completed sled. So now we're going to give this a finish, And I'm thinking where this is going to be used outdoors, that what I'm going to do is go with a traditional oil finish. Uh, the old timers would have used boiled linseed oil a lot for anything that was outdoors: axe handles, PV handles, pitchforks, shovels, sleds. Uh, Sometimes you've seen the logging sleds that were painted. I don't know if that was it was really intentional or if that was a vanity thing or not. But anyway, uh, an oil finish was very common back in the day. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give it an oil finish, and we're going to put a rope on it. And then we're going to take it out and put it to work. Hang around. Okay, so we're at the completion point. Get a coat of oil onto it. We'll let that dry in for 24 hours and then probably throw another coat on it. But here's the finished product. So the big test is, does it pull? She glides. And like I say, years ago, you would have seen one of these on pretty much every farm, every homestead, maybe more than one. I know growing up there was always 2, 3 of these around in the barn here, and they get used for everything and anything. So you'll see us in the next couple of weeks probably doing a little video gathering in some firewood with one of these. I'll show you some of the uses that these can be put to. Right now, you get a couple of bags of chicken feed down in the barn. That's going to come up to the hen house. So that's where this is going. Have a good one, and thanks for watching.